are currently meeting with the Police Minister Bheki Cele in Paarl to discuss a broader crime-fighting plan. Well, the SANDF has announced that its members would not be deployed to the Cape Flats yesterday as they needed to complete the paperwork to ensure that the move is in line with the Constitution. The SANDF says its operation to assist the police in fighting crime on the Cape Flats will be known as Operation Prosper. For more on this story, we're now joined on the line by the Western Cape Community Safety MEC, that's Albert Fritz. Good afternoon, MEC, and welcome to the SABC News Desk.
Good afternoon to the listeners.
MEC, what's the status of this SANDF rollout on the Cape Flats right now? There was some sort of delay yesterday, we understand.
Yes, and we also say that our people need to be patient. All our NDF people need to just properly get orientated. They are busy with orientation. They're busy sorting out their accommodation. And I think it's a step in the right direction. And we believe we are able to also people to be a bit patient about it.
MEC, it's not a great line, but can you just explain to us briefly how this operation will be carried out, as there have been some justifiable concerns right now raised from various human rights quarters about the army operating in what is a civilian environment?
I think the one first thing I must say, this is not a state of, of emergency that's been declared. We are just asking the South African Defence Force to come in as a force multiplier. No one's rights and no one's human rights in terms of the Constitution is suspended, and I think that's a very important point. The second point is we, in many of our areas, and we have about 10 of our areas on the Cape Flats, where we need some force just to stabilize the situation, because people have gunpowder, they have R5 rifles, and all we ask is the police force that we have at the moment in the Western Cape is not enough, and that dispute is still continuing. But that at this moment, as the home bodies, boots on the ground, the South African Defence Force is assisting us with that. And that's why we welcome it, and I must tell you, at the summit, we are completely welcomed by everyone, by most people. We must, however, also ensure that we do all the other kinds of programs that the Premier and the Western Alan Windy really made it clear that all his departments will also contribute to making a difference in all those communities where young people have given up hope. But the majority of young people haven't given up hope, and that majority we must still work with.
Albert, you're just coming out of a meeting with the Police Minister. Just take us through some of the key issues that were discussed there.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that. Can you repeat? What were the two?
Yes, MEC, can you give us some feedback on the meeting you've just come out with, that you held with the Police Minister this afternoon?
Yes, one of the most important issues that was discussed, and I can tell you it was across the board, from the National Prosecuting Authority, from the Minister. We were so privileged to also have Minister Zulu here from, Social Development, and Minister Glodlo from Site Security was here, Deputy Ministers also from the Petroleum. And it was really the central point that came out, theme that emerged from this conference or the summit, was the issue of collaboration with NGOs, with government departments, with civil society, all our people, with corporates. We need to collaborate to get impact so that we can make a difference in the lives of the people on the ground. Young people must again get hope that they will get a job. Young people must get hope that they can get training, that they can get all these available opportunities. They must have access to it. And I must say, this conference, this summit, really kind of confirmed that today.
MEC, it's been 8 or 9 months, if I remember correctly, since we saw the launch of the anti-gang strategy on the Cape Flats and in other hotspots. And this is when we saw highly equipped, highly visible police teams really go out and engage with community members. Where did those teams fall short?
That's a very, very good question, because The other point, it's okay to have all these decisions. It's okay, and I want to say it's okay to say, oh, we're going to make this, and we have this strategy and this anti-gang strategy. The implementation of it is important. This was the other point that was really emphasized. We need to go and implement our decisions. And I want to say from this province, you will see, please follow us and watch this space to see how we are going to implement our side of the bargain. We hope all the sides of the bargain will be implemented. And I think the Minister made a similar call. There's no use in making another talk shop. Let's implement. And I can assure you from our side that will happen.
MEC, I just want to ask you, in order to clean up the area, we need a good community mobilization as well as well-equipped police teams that are highly visible. But there's an interesting dynamic that keeps emerging in these kind of hotspots, where we see a kind of perverse loyalty emerging among community members, where some community members themselves will actually come out protecting the drug lord or the gang boss because he may provide some kind of financial aid or favor to community members themselves. And this really hinders the police force when it comes to clamping down on crimes of this nature.
That's another important point you're raising. And that point came up at the summit. The National Prosecuting our Director in the Western Cape, Advocate Rodney de Kock, made a passionate plea to communities. And we must also be careful not to generalize, because there's some of our community members who are in the pockets of the gangsters. We know gangsters pay rent of people, gangsters pay the school fees, gangsters also have these young girls that they can spoil and buy them clothes, and then of course there are consequences for that. But I think the point that Rodney de Kock was making today was that communities must stop protecting gangsters, and then afterwards come complain to the government that we are protecting them. They must stop when people see a murder or see a crime, they must be prepared to become witnesses. And witness protection will protect them. We must get communities to tip off the police so that we can arrest the gangsters and get our societies clean from gangsters. And of course, we will never be able to clean it completely, but we can move towards reducing the violence in our townships if communities work with us. But we must also sort out the community policing forums. We must get so much fight among them. We need to, and that's my department, we will get that. And I'm saying to you, we're going to get it right soon.
Very quickly, Albert, we are running out of time. About 8 or 9 months ago, when the anti-gang teams were launched on the Cape Flats, some community members were saying it's too little, too late. What's been the overall response to the SANDF poised to roll out on the Cape Flats in the coming days?
Yeah, I must say to you, I've been in government now for 10 years. This is my 11th year. I never, ever believe anything comes too late. It's always a welcoming start. And then all of us must just work hard on making it work. All of us must collaborate. And I think we're just very, very thankful. And we're very happy that the army is in here. The defense force is here to come and support our police. So we will never think anything is too late. We will, and you will see the differences. You will see what's going to happen.
Thank you. That was Western Cape Community and Safety MEC Albert Fritz joining us on the line there. Let's move on now.